Hello and welcome to another video at Movie Mash, and today we're going to speak about a man who doesn't need much introduction, Sean Connery. Most people know Sean Connery from playing James Bond. I learned so much more about him in the last few weeks while researching for this video. For example, in the 1950s he was nearly signed with Manchester United but chose to be an actor instead, as he thought it was going to be a longer career, and he was right. Also found out he was originally asked to play Gandalf in Lord of the Rings before Ian McKellen. Also, he made nearly 70 movies over his acting career, and I watched every single one of them in the last few weeks, enjoyed every one of them, even the bad ones. From his humble beginnings to the superstar he became, and my respect for the man has just gone through the roof. So let's find out who he was, and let's take a little look in the life of Sir Sean Connery. Connery was born Thomas Sean Connery on August the 25th in Fountainbridge, Scotland. The son of Joseph, a truck driver, and Euphemia, a laundress, Connery had a modest upbringing in a neighbourhood known as the Streets of 1,000 Smells for the stench of the local rubber mill and several breweries that filled the air. His home was a 2-bedroom flat where the infant slept in a drawer because his parents couldn't afford a crib. He often said, "We never knew how poor we were because everyone else in the area was just exactly the same." Joseph brought home a few shillings a week, but those were mostly spent on whiskey and gambling.
I know exactly what it is to be without money. I know exactly what money is to me. And when I know that, and I know a large percentage of myself, and I know which way I'm going.
Known in his youth as Tommy, Connery grew up on the streets along with the Fountainbridge youth playing football. The local gangs dubbed him Big Tam because of his size and his ability to pummel most of his playmates. He attended Tollcross Elementary School and amazed his teachers with his lightning-quick mathematical aptitude. From the day he could read, he devoured every comic book he could get his hands on and dreamt up his own imaginative tales of Martians and madmen. Even then, he had a fascination with film. He would say, "I would play hooky from school, go to the Blue Hall's local movie house and watch the pictures." When Connery was 8 years old, his parents had a second child, Neil. Young Tom delighted in the role of a big brother. As they grew up, the Connery boys were inseparable. They fished in the nearby canal using the mother stocking for a line, and skipped school to fit in more amusing extracurricular activities, running with the wrong element, he would say. At age 13, Connery quit school to work full-time in the local dairy. 3 years later, he joined the Royal Navy. He received 2 tattoos on his arm reading "Mum and Dad" and "Scotland Forever." Unfortunately, the artwork lasted longer than his naval career. Though he signed up for a 7-year stint, he was released from service after 3 years due to stomach ulcers. Back home, Connery took a number of different jobs, from shoveling coal, laying bricks, polishing coffins, and posing as a model in Edinburgh's art school. For months he skimped and saved his shillings to become a member of the Dundee weightlifting club. He admitted it wasn't so much to be fit, but to look good for girls. The local ladies were impressed, but so were fellow gym mates who nominated him for the Mr. Universe contest. In 1953, Connery travelled 9 hours to London, where the competitions held. He boldly introduced himself to the contest judges as Mr. Scotland, potentially showcasing his 6'2" frame. He was chosen third in the tall man's division and given a medal, but that wasn't all. A local casting director in the audience liked the hammy Scottish kid and asked him to join the chorus of the new production, the Rodgers and the Hammerstein musical South Pacific, playing in Drury Lane's London's theatre district. He said, "I didn't have a voice and I couldn't dance, but I did look good standing there." Whilst on the production, he realised one rehearsal was all it took. I decided then to make my acting career. He chose the stage name Sean Connery because Sean, besides being his middle name, reminded him of his favourite movie hero Shane, as Shane was played by Alan Ladd. It seemed to go more with my image than Tom or Tommy, he recalled. And then Sean Connery was born. Over the next few years, Connery was cast in numerous film and television programs, including the acclaimed BBC staging of Requiem of a Heavyweight. But his lack of education worried him, and he began to read as many books as he could, including the classics. But the book learning, however, didn't soften his street instincts, because while filming Another Time, Another Place with Lana Turner, Connery was involved in a brawl on set with Turner's boyfriend, Johnny Stompanato. The Hollywood tabloids had reported Connery and Turner were having an affair, so Stompanato turned up on set, being very abusive, and Connery showed him what was what. Connery liked the reputation of being a rugged ladies' man, but that changed in August 1957 when filming a TV show for Britain's ATV Playhouse. He met a beautiful blonde Australian named Diane Colinto. She was married at the time, but Connery's attraction to her was undeniable. At first, Colinto felt nothing for her castmate except friendship. He seemed like a man with a tremendous chip on his shoulder, she remarked. In 1959, just as Connery's career was taking off, Colinto contracted tuberculosis, and the actor realised how devastated he would be if he lost her. He turned down a big break in Charlton Heston's film El Cid to be close to her while she recovered. The decision didn't hurt his career. In fact, 20th Century Fox Studios came calling with a contract, and Connery made several films in Hollywood. When his contract was up, he had another stroke of luck. Producers Harry Saltzman and Albert Chubby Broccoli cast him in the lead spy movie based on a series of Ian Fleming novels, Bond. James Bond was born.
Trench. Sylvia Trench. I admire your luck, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
The 1962 film Dr. No showcased the spy contending with an arch-villain title character and his quest to control American launched rockets. A sequel was released immediately, From Russia with Love, in 1963, but then Goldfinger. The 1964 international blockbuster put Sean Connery's face on every screen, every magazine, and every poster, and made him an overnight success and an A-lister.
You expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
A year later, Thunderball fared even better at the box office, and You Only Live Twice followed in 1967. Sly, sexy and confident with questionable scruples, Connery as Bond was the embodiment of the British secret agent to many, even if he had to wear a toupee to cover his permanently balding head. We all knew this guy had something, Saltzman would recall. We signed him without a screen test. We all agreed he was 007. Connery had a non-notable Bond role in Alfred Hitchcock's psychological thriller Marnie in 1964, along with other projects like The Hill in 1965, Define Madness in 1966, Sherlocko in 1968, and The Molly Maguires in 1970. In 1971, he declared his last Bond role, Diamonds Are Forever, with the part taken over by Roger Moore in 1973's Live and Let Die. His acting career now cemented, Connery decided it was time to settle his personal affairs as well. Colinto was now divorced, and the pair could secretly get married at the Rock of Gibraltar in November 1962, while Connery was filming From Russia with Love. They honeymooned briefly in Spain before the actor returned for a flood of publicity. Connery thrived on the attention and the adoration. "Now I can kill any son of a bitch in the world," he bragged to the Saturday Evening Post. "I can eat, drink, nothing but the very best, and also get the loveliest ladies in the world." But Connery had a tendency to go too far in interviews and openly advocated abusive behaviour. For example, he told a London newspaper his opinion on hitting women. "An open-handed slap is justified, so was putting your hand over her mouth. He later told Playboy, "I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with hitting a woman. If all other alternatives fail, there's plenty of warning."
Years ago, you did an interview, which may come back to haunt you. You know what I'm going to say, right?
No.
Okay. You did an interview in which you said, not the worst thing to slap a woman now and then. As I remember, you said you don't do it with a clenched fist. It's better to do it with an open hand. Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I didn't love that.
I haven't changed my opinion.
The comments would come back to haunt him when in 1973, 10 years after his son Jason was born, he and Salento divorced, starting a fury of tabloid rumours that he was physically abusive. Connery denied them all and married French-Moroccan artist Micheline Roquebrune in 1975, again at Gibraltar. The pair met in a golf tournament in Morocco, a sport that was a shared passion. He won the men's award, she took the women's. By this time, Connery had made a total of 6 Bond movies, but the man who once revelled in notoriety now shrank from the spotlight. He retreated from Hollywood, moving his wife and her 3 children from a first marriage into the mansions in England, Marbella and Spain. It would be more than a decade before he reluctantly agreed to reprise his role as Bond one last time in 1983's Never Say Never Again. For this he was paid several $1 million, a far cry from the reported $16,000 he earned for the first Dr. No. He donated a large portion of his earnings to the Scottish International Education Trust to help students from poor backgrounds like his own. But his critics wondered if he was motivated by generosity or politics, as Connery supported Scotland's independence from the United Kingdom, including backing the failed 2014 referendum in the country to leave Great Britain, and gave a great deal of his own money to the Scottish National Party. After Bond, Connery continued to work regularly. Murder on the Orient Express in 1974, The Man Who Would Be King in 1975, Robin and Marion in 1976 with Audrey Hepburn, The Great Train Robbery in 1979, Time Bandits in 1981, Highlander in 1986, and also The Name of the Rose in 1986, winning a British Film Academy Award for the later project, which was based on a book by Umberto Eco. Connery finally won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his role as a Chicago cop on the trial of Al Capone in 1987's The Untouchables, also starring Kevin Costner, Andy Garcia, and Robert De Niro.
Good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, and a few enemies. I don't think there's anyone aware, or unaware rather, in Hollywood or the rest of the world tonight that this is the 60th anniversary of these Academy Awards. And I just realized myself the other day that my first one and only attendance was 30 years ago. Patience truly is a virtue. But in winning this award, it creates a certain dilemma, because I had decided, if I'd had the good fortune to win, that I would give it to my wife, who deserves it. But this evening I discovered backstage that they're worth $15,000, and now I'm not so sure. Sherry, I'm only kidding, it's yours. But if such a thing as a wish accompanied this award, mine would be that we ended the writer's strike. And I thank you all sincerely.
Connery's career continued forward with no signs of slowing down. He played the father in the title character in Steven Spielberg's Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade in 1989, opposite Harrison Ford. And in 1990 played the defectant Russian submarine captain Marko Ramius in The Hunt for the Red October, a commercially successful outing that earned him more than $200 million globally. Other films included Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves in 1991 with Kevin Costner, Highlander 2: The Quakening in 1991, Medicine Man in 1992, The Rock with 1996, his prison action adventure with Nicolas Cage, First Night in 1995, Dragonheart in 1996, and The Avengers in 1998 with Ralph Fiennes and Uma Thurman. In 1999, Connery played a cat burglar in the thriller Entrapment, which also he produced. The project co-starred young actress Catherine Zeta-Jones, and the controversy was generated by the 40-year age gap between the two stars. In 2000, Connery had the starring role in drama Finding Forrester, followed by 2003's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, a comic book adaptation in which he depicted fictional character Alan Quatermain. Connery was called the Rogue with the Brogue, and in 1989, at almost 60 years old, he was named People's Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive. But while his professional work was applauded, his personal choices were often under fire. "I'm not shy about voicing what I believe to be true," he said in 1998, after being denied a British knighthood due to his activity support in the Scottish National Party. He would be knighted by Queen Elizabeth II in 2000, and he wore his traditional Highland attire. In 1999, Connery received a Kennedy Center Honor of a Lifetime Achievement, and in 2006 received an American Film Institute Lifetime Achievement Award. In 2008, Connery released a book, Being a Scot, a work which was billed as an exploration of the actor's native country and its ideologies, more so than a traditional autobiography. Around this time, Connery revealed he had an offer to appear in that year's Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, though he decided it wasn't worth following through with the minor role. Connery publicly retired from acting, though he lent his voice to the animated film Sir Billy in 2012. Connery and his wife had retired to the Bahamas and become involved in environmental protection efforts. Connery passed away in his sleep in the Bahamas in late 2020, surrounded by his family.